Welcome back, El Paso, to the Authentic Podcast. And I don't know if you guys were listening in last week, but we had Christian Barnes on the podcast, and wow, what an amazing guy. He had a lot of great input all about house hacking. And, if you're young and you're wanting to get into real estate, I don't think there's any better way to get started than to do what Christian Barnes suggested, buy a house, get into the house hacking strategy, and just keep building from there. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But this week, today, I am super excited to be announcing that we have Lisa Hernandez. And Lisa Hernandez has quite a significant amount of time investing within the El Paso real estate market. And guys, we're about to learn all about what it's truly like to be a real estate investor here in El Paso. So let's jump into it. Here we go. Welcome to the Authentic Podcast, and I am here with Miss Lisa. Lisa is a local investor, and she also has a health and wellness business, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes. I help people with weight loss. I am a health coach and help people find great vitamins and non-toxic things.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Yes.
And so you've been in the world of real estate for a little while too, then?
Yes. Well, I purchased my first home at 25 years old.
Holy smokes! Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what was that like? Was that scary?
People look at you like, who's this kid trying to buy? You know what I mean? But no. Me and my husband at the time bought our first house at 25, and then I bought my second one at 30.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that was here in El Paso?
Yes. All in El Paso.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part?
My first house was in the Northeast, and then I moved to the West Side.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know what was the price for that? Because that must have been, you must have got it.
$65,000 was the first house.
Oh my gosh.
And that was in 19. I think it was 19. No, it was 2002. And then I bought my house here on the West Side for $165 in 2000. No, it was 2001 when I bought my first house, and then I bought my second house. It was actually 2004. It was 3 years later, and I paid $165 for that.
$165 on the West Side, which is a
off of Westwind and Belvedere. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Great area.
Yeah, it was a great area. Beautiful house.
How many square feet was that one?
That was 2,600.
2,600.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna find anything like that
it
now
doesn't
at this
exist
point,
anymore.
right?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. Did you finance your first? You
financed both of them.
Both of them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What were interest rates then?
I want to say it was. So I homesteaded the first one right through. It was a VA loan, so that one I think was at like 5 or 6. And then the second one was like at, I want to say it was like 6.25.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you hear people complaining about interest rates now, and we're not that far over that.
No.
You know, I think
it's just we got spoiled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the 2 and 3%, and
Yeah.
That makes sense. I've heard that the national average for interest rates lingers at about 8%. And last I checked, at least today, being the 12th, October 12th, it's like not 3, I wish. It's 7.375%.
Right.
So we're
I
still
remember
under
my parents in '78, their interest rate was like 8 or 9, but the house was only $28,000. Yeah.
Well, didn't it even get as high in the 80s towards like, we were talking like 18, 19%, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So we're not there yet.
Right?
Fortunately, and hopefully we never get there because, with the
Absolutely.
prices of houses that seem to be
Right.
increasing. Hopefully that I don't know anybody who would be able to afford, a house like that. But so okay, wow. So first house was 60,000. Second house was
65.
165.
Mm-hmm.
So you're riding pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
do you still have that first house?
I don't.
No?
I don't. Me and my second husband opened a business and I lost it.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah, and I came
Okay.
into that marriage with both of those properties. Yeah.
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 But you don't know, right? You just
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
take these chances and yeah. But it was part of my bankruptcy. Yeah.
Okay.
So
But did you
I was
rent
renting it.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but I always knew I wanted to rent. Like I always knew that's the way I was going to retire was with rentals.
Yeah.
Like I met a couple and that's what they did and they were in their 50s and they were retired and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's going to be me." Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And if you start young and just don't be afraid, it's a risk, it's a job, like it is work. It's like whoever says real estate is passive income is wrong. It is not. It is work. Unless you get a realtor or someone like you to take care of it, but then you lose 10%, off the top. Yeah, when you're already paying like 30% in taxes. Yeah, so so
In regards to like having like property managers.
Right, in regards to
that
because
makes
I
sense.
self-manage and it is work. It is a job. And it is not for the faint of heart, and you take your wins and losses like a big girl,
I greatly appreciate like the honesty and transparency about the
Yeah.
reality of being an investor and no more, because I remember when I first got into real estate, one of the things that motivated me was the YouTube videos I was watching. I was 21 years old,
Right.
and these guys were just like, yeah, you just buy houses and you jump in there and you just get paid. They were showing off all their paychecks and they're like, it's so, and I'm thinking, well, no brainer, that's the way to do it.
No.
But the reality of it is, like you're saying, it does take work.
Well, I have renters that I have to chase for their rent, right? And that's a constant stress. Is this going to be the month I have to evict them? Is this the month they're going to trash the house? It's a constant stress. It's, and then I have three pending repairs, right? That I got to like get contractors and deal with. And I mean, it's stress. It's not like, I'm still very blessed. Don't get me wrong. I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed, but it's still work.
Okay, there's so much to unwrap in that alone. So I'm gonna start with the renters.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're working with renters, I'm sure that you go into it and you want to have the best renter in there, but people are people, and sometimes things can get hairy. So how have you had to navigate damages and things like that? I mean,
you just suck it up. I mean, it is what it is. I had one renter that trashed the house, left a pot of beans there. The door was open. The cops came and did that thing and poked through the hole, because her son had drugs. I mean, it's like, you don't know. But I've gotten better at, at doing things as you learn, right? The first person I rented to ran a business there, and I'm like, I didn't even know, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what you don't know. So, like, I definitely now, I don't let anybody run a business out of the home. If they want to run a business, no, because that's a whole level of liability. The other thing I do is I use Rent Ready, and I love Rent Ready because they have to pay $35 for them to run a check on them. And you know what? If they're not going to pay $35, are they going to pay your rent on time? Right? I don't care.
Sense.
Like, and the other thing is too, I advertise on Facebook Market just to find my margin, but I really find my renters through Rent Ready, because Rent Ready will put it through Zillow, Realtor.com, through like all these websites so it gets out there.
So is that kind of like you'd put up a listing through Rent Ready and
Right.
just
And it's not on the MLS, but it goes to all the sites that the MLS goes to.
Sure.
Right. So it's good for me. And then a lot of them will say pre-qualified, or I ask them to do an application. But from there, I'm able to verify a lot of things. So the second thing that I then do is I go to bin verified, and I do this for Match.com people and for for regular people, right? Like bin verified is like the best, because it will give you emails, social media accounts, criminal record, bankruptcies. It gives you everything. Okay, and then I'll go to all the social media accounts. I'm looking for how clean did they keep the house. I'm not looking at their content. I'm looking in the background. What do they got?
Yeah.
Are they smoking? Are they this? What are they doing? Right? Yeah. It is what it is. And then I'm looking at their Facebook. I also will go back and verify. I will call every reference. I do my diligence because I've learned. Didn't before, right? So I call all their references. I also, I have quite a few people that don't have driver's license, believe it or not, and
really?
They want to rent. I'm like, if you can't get a driver's license, why would I let you rent my house, right?
Do they have any ID?
They'll have an
general?
ID,
okay.
Yeah, but I'm just like, so that's another one. If you don't have a driver's license, yeah. The other thing that I do from there is I go to the El Paso County, research the criminal background, see what it was, and I'm not going to persecute anybody for their past. I have people that do have a past and they've turned it around, so like I'm just looking to what are they doing now, right? Can I trust this person with my largest investment?
Yes.
Right? Because that's what it is. It's a trust. And then I also, I'll look at like all the TikTok, and I will also take their address if they're in a home and go to Google Maps and then go to the past dates and look at how they took care of the property. As you know, on Google Maps, you could see what it looked like 2 years ago, 3 years ago sometimes.
Okay.
So I'll go in and see how they took care of their property. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before, but that makes sense. It's
yeah,
smart.
yeah. And you know what? Like, okay, they're not parking junk cars on the lawn. They're not leaving trash out, or at least when the Google picture was shot, right?
Yeah.
And I'll drive by to see where they're at, and yeah.
Does the rent, what was it called?
Rent Ready.
Rent Ready. Does that also provide like a rental history? Does it show you past?
No.
Do you look at credit reports or anything?
Well, yeah, credit reports. So if I'm not, if someone doesn't have decent credit, I'm fine. But I do collect first, last, and deposit.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But good credit, just first and deposit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And I don't take payments.
As far as like the deposit?
For all of that, they have to have it up front.
Yeah.
Because that's another, can you take payments now?
That's crazy that people would even consider.
Well, they'll ask you all kind of things because you're a private person.
Sure.
And you have to protect yourself, and yes, you may be down like a whole month or like in one case, 2-3 months, but you're gonna, in the long run, have a better tenant and a better tenant relationship.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had, so using the program that you use, have you ever still found it difficult to fill in apartments, or do you just lower the rents and then attract more?
So I don't
people?
ever lower.
No?
What I use
Okay.
I use Facebook Market to, if I put something out there and I get 75 responses, well then it's too low.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So then I'll up it a little bit more, and I'll play with Facebook Market to get my margins. But I also use Realtor.com to see how well. Like what is renting in the neighborhood, like what's my competition.
Gotcha.
Right? Because it's all just a number. You know what I mean? But I try and offer a good sound home, good properties, everything.
Gotcha. So when you're considering that the demand is there and you haven't really had any issues. Now, I want to ask you, because you've been investing through 2008 too. Did that impact you?
I've been blessed through the turn of the market and through COVID. All of my renters paid.
Oh, wow.
So I've been blessed.
Okay.
But again, it is a gamble. It is an investment. Investments are gambles, right? Yeah.
Well, I've heard that the El Paso market throughout even 2008 and throughout the whole pandemic and whatnot, that it still was pretty steady as far as the rental market has been. So that's good. So you were you renting here? You've always
El Paso.
Okay. So you've kind of dodged a bullet on that. I assume with COVID too, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. I've known some investors on the East Coast who, were booming, and then 2008 came, and unfortunately it just wiped them out.
Yeah, I think the thing is too is the margins that people talk about are not like, it really does take 15 years to recoup. You need to own that property 15 years before you really start making money.
Okay.
Because literally you are working 15 years for your retirement. Like, don't touch that money because you're gonna have a roof and a water leak, water heater. And I'm diligent about water heaters, like 6-7 years I'd replace it before anything happens, right? But yeah, I mean, that money just goes back into repairs and your taxes. I mean, the taxes, you really don't make that much money because the taxes are so high, and when we had that tax boom, to go back to my renter and say, I gotta go up by a ton of money is very awkward, but I had to do it. Otherwise I was not gonna make anything, know? And you really don't make that much until you're 16. That's how you really have to look at it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense, and I think that's very smart and wise that you would. So you never really paid yourself throughout that whole time. Were you working a job?
Yeah, I had a full-time job.
Wow, so you were really grinding it out between managing all the rentals and then working full time. Have you hit that 15-year mark? Are you starting to see things turn? And that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you've made it through. You made it through, because I could imagine there could be a lot of things that could really
bumps and bruises, but yes, I made it through. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned roof issues, water heater issues. So the next question I had is let's talk about contractors. What are some of the challenges and what are some of the things that you've come to overcome some of these challenges working with contractors?
So, like, one time I was out of town and a water heater burst and I had to just suck it up and pay through the nose because I wasn't in town, right? But definitely build your relationship with them, and because once you find a good one, you don't ever want to let it go. Yeah, because it is very difficult. And then you have somebody do work, and then you have somebody go in and say they didn't do it right. And you're like, ugh, I trusted this person,
Do you think that would be intentional too? Is that people cutting corners trying to,
I think because I'm a woman, it's easy to take advantage of me because I don't know any of this stuff. I'm learning, right? But I don't know. Like, YouTube University only gets you so far, right? Yeah.
Well, that takes some real courage to be able to jump into something that, you just don't know everything about and be willing to take that risk, and you've managed to make it through that.
Yeah.
And figure that out. And I mean, would you say that you've kind of learned from some of your mistakes and it's helped formed your business to get to where you are today?
And that's how you got to look at losses.
Yeah.
It's a lesson I had to learn. It's a price I had to pay.
Yeah.
you know.
So you didn't get down on yourself, hopefully, and you just said,
oh no, you do, but I mean, now on the other side,
but you just kept going.
Yeah,
you just kept going,
Mm-hmm.
and you built off of that. Where I could see some people may get stressed out, or they may get scared, and they may say, I don't know if this is for me,
and it might not be, and that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Because it is stressful. Yeah, it is not easy.
And how do you manage? I'm just curious to know, how do you manage stress when you're dealing with, the.
I just have to remember, you just have to focus on the long term and the positive. Like, ultimately, I have great renters.
Yes.
So I am blessed. And I work with them too, that's the thing. Because if I'm going to evict somebody, then my property's down. I've got to do major repairs. It's very expensive.
And it's a process too.
It's a process.
I've done property management.
And it's not fun. And you know it. And they have a family in there. And it sucks. But you have to do it. And the second that rent is late, you have to go knock on the door. You got to get a notary signed, pay to quit form. You've got to mail it, deliver it, certify letter it, and it's part of it, and it sucks, and it's very uncomfortable, and it's something you have to take your day and do, and it's 2-3 hours out of your day to do it. But it is what it is,
And then you go through the whole court process, which it can drag on.
Right, and nothing is for the landlord. Everything is for the tenant.
Here in Texas or in El Paso specifically, would you say? Or
everything's for the renters,
Okay. So have you taken some losses in those situations where,
Yeah. Like I'm telling you, that one, you walk into the house and the door was wide open, and we've been calling her. We called her and she said, I'm late, but I'll get it to you. Okay. And she was late before, so you trust her. And then, and then she stopped answering, so we drive out to the property and the door's wide open. And you're like, your heart drops. And all the appliances were sold. The house was trashed.
She sold your appliances.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
No.
And she's MIA. She took off, MIA, gone. You weren't able to.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's quite a situation to find yourself.
Yeah, and it sucks. And then you're down all that time, and you buy, you have to go buy appliances and clean up everything.
And rebuild and.
Yeah. And then you might as well put in new cabinets. Might as well do this while you're there, right? So that's where that pocket of money goes that you really have to save. You can't think of, you have to think of, in my opinion, you have to think of real estate for the long game, not the short game. It's not a short game.
Great advice.
Yeah.
I hear you loud and clear. I'm listening, Lisa. I'm listening right now. I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what advice would you have to someone who's getting started? They want to buy their first property. Maybe they know a little bit, maybe they don't. What would you tell them as far as, let's say, financing properties? Did you ever work with hard money, or did you primarily go with banks, or do you have
No, with
preference?
banks. I never did hard money.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of a dangerous place to be, I would imagine.
I wouldn't. I'm not versed in it, and I'm not a big player. I'm just a little guy, right?
Yeah.
So no, I have no idea. I never flipped.
That's more for flips too.
Yeah,
right?
hard money is more of a flipper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you didn't really do the flips. Did you ever buy distressed properties and fix them up and then hold them for the long term too?
Yes, but that's stressful too. That's a whole nother thing, because that's a time eater. Okay, make sure the floor matches, make sure what's trending, all the trending colors, gray is gray out, is gray in. What do? Do you go gray? Do you go brown? There's all these things to it. And, fresh paint, carpets, no carpets, dogs, no dogs, all of that.
Do you do pets?
Pets with pet rent.
Okay, that makes sense. And what kind of, I'm just curious, what kind of pet? rent? How much do you
So $45 a pet.
usually? Okay. Per month or just?
Per month.
Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say if that's just a deposit, I'm like.
Per month, yeah. And
'Cause I know what
and
pets
I
can
love,
do.
Yeah, and I have a pet, and I love dogs.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't
sure.
want no one to be without a dog, but yeah.
But they're animals at the end of the day. And you just,
yeah.
especially if it's a puppy, you don't
They
know.
all
They
have
love to chew.
accidents, like my dogs have accidents. He got in the trash, so
Yeah.
it's damage to the property. It's wear and tear. They're another person,
Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure your people have renter's insurance
Okay.
because that helps protect you as well.
Is that
Renter's insurance protects their property, but it's a good thing for them to have, and it's so cheap. It's like $6 a month.
okay?
So I make sure that everybody, has renter's insurance.
And that kind of relieves you from the liability, right? Because gotcha.
And umbrella insurance. You have to protect yourself.
Do you work with like companies like say Rhino? Are you familiar with that? Where they do I know you mentioned that you don't do payments for deposits and whatnot, but like I know there's companies out there where they'll pay you and then the tenant has to pay them monthly. Do you work with those kinds of?
I've never had that situation, right? I'll just wait it out for the long game, like I said, because I know that when someone leaves, I'm going to be down, anywhere from 30 to 90 days. And you just have to suck it up.
Really?
Yeah. You just have to pay that mortgage. Yeah. Because again, you want a good tenant in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even if you think you have a good tenant, you don't know, right? But it's the way you got to work it.
As a private investor who's, you're still on a smaller scale, would you say, can you work with like the city for like if somebody misses a payment?
I've done that.
You can
I've
do
done
that?
Yeah,
Okay.
where
Like
they
rent
do like
relief
rent
and-
relief.
yeah,
Yes,
okay.
I've done that a few times.
So you do utilize that, and has that helped your business just keep going, or do
I
people
only
take...
do it because the renter asks me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, and you as a landlord, you had to fill out all this stuff. You had to go down to the city.
It's a process.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, holy hell! And then you get 1099, and you're like.
And you may not see that money for X amount of months, right?
Right. And then you can't evict them, and they can fall more and more behind, and Yeah.
I can see that being a...
Yeah.
Interesting. So, Lisa, from your the path that you've taken in real estate, and you've been able, as you mentioned, you've been very blessed from that. Would you say that this has helped kind of build you and allow you to build up into your current business?
Right, yes. So it's giving me the flexibility to do what I want now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I've been blessed because of that. And that's the thing, like it's still a job, even right now. Like I still have phone calls to make. I have, things I have to have fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I try and be on them right away. Like if I don't want someone to, be down. I really, really try my hardest to find somebody good to go in there quick and get it done.
Yeah.
And organizing all that, like their work schedules, when the people are available, and all of that is a lot. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's your current business called, by the way?
So my current business, so I have a podcast coming out, Becoming My Children's Hero.
Okay.
And I'm on my own personal weight loss to become my children's hero, be my most successful self. So on Instagram, I'm at Clean Beauty EP,
Okay.
and I rep for a company called The Wellness. It's called The Wellness Company, and everything's non-toxic. Like I will never ever buy my makeup, my cleaners. I buy everything from here because I truly love this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Fantastic.
that's what I do. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, follow Lisa on Instagram.
Clean Beauty EP.
Clean Beauty EP, and then is that also the name of your podcast too? And where can
Podcast is Becoming Our Children's Hero. And it's all about my weight loss journey, the mistakes I made as a parent, and just becoming, again, my children's hero, because I'm not, right? Like, who's my children's hero? A Victoria's Secret model? Right? You know what I mean? So that's what the podcast is about, is my journey to become their hero.
That's awesome. And that's on Spotify
and iTunes.
iTunes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you sharing all of that. That was a phenomenal story and very encouraging. A lot of good information that you brought to the table.
Thank you
today.
for having me. Yes.
So, I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to hearing more about your journey in the future.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, guys, that was Lisa.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, Lisa. All right, well, that's it for today's episode number 5 with Lisa Hernandez. And wow, you know, I really appreciate and admire Lisa and her journey in the real estate world, because, you know, she's honest, she's transparent, she tells it how it really is being a real estate investor. And I don't know about you guys, but, you know, if you fell for some of those videos that you're going to get rich overnight in real estate, well, Lisa put it into perspective for us today. And it takes time, it takes hard work, it takes determination. And we heard that through Lisa's story. So, you know, she's doing very well for herself, so never give up. Stick with it, keep going, and stay tuned, guys. More great episodes coming. Again, this is Joseph with The Authentic Podcast. Love you all. Take care, El Paso.